Who is that? Hey, Donna. Listen, welcome everybody to DerekInvests, the market mentality. We have with us today the lovely Danah Matthews of You Showgirl. We met a few years back in Los Angeles at a gym that I was working at and she was going to. And she was really starting an entrepreneurial venture at the time. And so we kind of worked together a little bit on it, and it's really coming together. It's amazing. She has amazing energy and attitude and positivity every day, all the time. Believe me, all the time. It's excellent. So let me pass the intro over to Danah. And Danah, would you like to add anything to that, or what would you like to add to that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. And I'm really excited to talk to you about entrepreneurship and business and how we can reach the people that we love to reach with our tools and skills. I have a promotion for your listeners, and this is actually for the monthly as well. They'll get 35% off with the discount code Derek35 for You Showgirl sessions, and they'll also get it for annual, which is pretty much the best saving you can get.
Nice.
For that annual membership. And just to dip in really quickly to what that is, it is a goal-based membership with a series of 6-week courses that encompass how to be a showgirl and how to be a diva and all of the things that you can do to lead up to that and help with your posture and poise and confidence. And essentially it's a platform of fitness, finesse, and feathers. And you can do it in your living room or in your bedroom, and it's all built to do at home, but like bringing that glam life into your bedroom, even if you wanted to do it on the side of the bed. I've built everything myself, from being, an injured dancer pre-COVID and then in COVID, trying to build this business up to what it is today. So I just really hope everybody enjoys it and, put some lippy and some lashes on.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. So, Danah, just to be clear, the sessions are more like a structured system that get
Yes.
you from point A to point B or point A to point D or whatever it is. And
Yes.
then that monthly is just kind of something you can pick and choose. You want to do this, you want to do that. Do I have that right?
Oh, no, right. So sessions is you can either do a monthly or annual subscription to
Ah,
all of the courses. And then there's also another video on demand version you can do where you just do a la carte. So you're just picking at random whatever you
and
feel
that's
that
the
day.
video on demand. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we were
Yeah.
talking about it before the show started, and I wanted everybody to realize that the sessions are the system. That
Yes.
is where you are really guiding and leading them to get them to where they want to go, right?
That's
Which
it.
is
You've got the
gorgeous and
yeah.
sexy and all of that. Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
In that way
I,
you've got like the map, the tool, and the guide to like bring you to each goal. And then in a la carte you've got all the tools and pick what you want.
You pick. Got it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So, Donna, I think a great place to start, because even I had no idea, as just this, guy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who found himself out in Los Angeles, and there was a story behind that. But when I met you and I knew you were Australian, and then you said that you were a showgirl at Moulin Rouge in Paris,
Yeah.
that seems like a big leap. And like, I don't know how you go from that. And I think before we even get into the business that you've created around your life, I think it would be cool to hear, like, how did that happen? How did you get from A to B?
How did I get from a small country town in Australia to Paris?
Right. So young. And then, like,
So young.
at the
Yeah.
spot too. Like, you were at the Moulin Rouge. You weren't, like, in an off-brand corner place. Like, I think, yeah, that must be a cool story. Like, I don't mean to, it's not meant to be rude to anyone who is down the street, but like, you were at the spot. So I think, yeah, that's something that people would love to know. I would actually love to know.
Okay, so I did end up at the Moulin Rouge when I was 19, which is a pretty young age to sort of end up in Paris or start out in Paris, however you want to frame it.
Which, yeah, depending on the direction.
Exactly. So
Right.
so it did start. I mean, I started dancing when I was 8 years old, and that was only because my best friend at the time had changed schools, and I wasn't allowed to change primary schools. So I was like, well, I'm going to go and do drama classes where Rebecca does ballet. And then pretty soon I realized that I could get a better part in the end of year play if I did ballet and jazz and tap and all the things. So within like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something, I was like every night after school, that was just me, and that was set and done.
What you do.
So cut to, you know, I fall in love with ballet, and I realized very early on that is the hardest thing of all of them to do, and that one has the quickest expiration date. So if I really want to pursue it, then I have to knuckle down and do that. And I did, and I moved across the country at 15 I'm from South Australia. I moved to Brisbane at 15 to finish high school and continue with ballet with a school that was connected to the Queensland Ballet Company. Okay. Then I could go a little bit further, and I got into the ballet program, classical ballet program at the New Zealand School of Dance. So I was in New Zealand for 2.5 years, should have been 3, but by the end of my second year, I was pretty miserable in the ballet program. Shock.
Right.
And I changed to the contemporary stream instead. And the head of contemporary was at that time like, oh, finally, I've been waiting for you to come to the dark side.
Is that right?
And, yeah. She was like, God, it took you long enough. And then, but because I had finally changed, my mind had opened a little bit, and I'd seen in the arts library at school, because that building shared the premises with the drama school. So we had crazy actors like walking around being creatures that we would watch while we were taking class. Right. So I'm in the library. I find this magazine. Remember those?
Oh my God. Sort of. If that feels like forever ago, and also yesterday, and I miss it. I miss them. Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked them too. So I found the dance magazine, and I saw that there was an audition happening in Melbourne for the Moulin Rouge in Paris, and it was, you know, this glossy picture with this girl in red, and she looked really happy, and then I saw the height restrictions, and it was minimum 5'8", and I suddenly was like, wait, what? Do I fit here? Because I was so used to being always the tallest or always the boy because I was the tallest, and like in the community that I was in, I was also probably the brownest person. So everyone around me were these blonde princesses, and I was a peanut next to them. And you know, I didn't really care, but you still notice
hard
it.
To believe. I don't see that. No, I get it. It's just a funny thing to hear.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, maybe this is something that wouldn't go badly, because I was just, even though I was pursuing something that I wanted, I always felt that I was met with a lot of resistance, and I was always like, everything was uphill. Yeah. And then I got into so I go to Melbourne. I asked my parents if I can go to Melbourne over the Easter holidays and do this audition instead of coming home. And they said, yep, that's okay. So I did it. I got down to the final 3 groups at the end. And the ballet mistress said to the first group, thank you so much. You're wonderful. Like, maybe when you're a bit older, you should come back, but thank you very much. Then she said to the second group, thank you very much. Here's a program. Have a look at the illustrations and see if you can really see yourself in these costumes. But by, you know, she was saying in a very diplomatic way, you need to get in shape a little bit more, but you're great. And then she just said to the third group, thank you very much. And I was in the third group, and I was like, okay, I don't know really what that means, but I had been taught all of this like professional etiquette at the school that I was at. So I I write the email saying, thank you so much. I have a valid Dutch passport in case that's important. I came from New Zealand to do this audition. I had such a good time. This was great about it. Just, just a nice, short, concise, good manners email. Get an email back straight away, but I didn't see it until the next day. I'm in the library and I check my email, and there's this email sitting there going, we actually have a space for you next week if you would like to come. And I understand that it's short notice, but if you can do it within 10 days, that would be great. And I just was like, what is happening? And I printed it out and I walked up to, and I gave it to the head of Contemporary who I was telling you about. And I didn't know what to say. I just put the email on her desk and she looked at it and she was like, well, Donna Jane, I'm not finished with you, but you're going to go anyway. She did this without looking at me. You're going to go anyway. So she grabs her phone. You might as well call your parents. I'll start looking at flights. And she starts like, and
that is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. And she was very much, I think everybody at school saw her as like this oracle who just knew things about you before you did. You know, when you have like the blessing to have teachers like that you're just like, okay, sensei. Yes.
Right. And so what do you like though? Donna, what do you like? Are you like, I mean, that's how, so that in a way it sounds super exhilarating, really exciting, but also at 19, you're going for something that feels to me in my mind, if I'm going back to being 19, that's a huge thing. So also I probably am thinking you're terrified.
No, because I just didn't have anything to measure it against. To be terrified for. And every time I'd move, like by this stage I'd already moved to Brisbane when I was 15, then I moved to Wellington when I was 19, and I was like, well, of course, Paris, I'm going to go meet more friends.
Right.
What could, and also it felt like in a way it felt kind of more lighthearted than the grueling training that I was doing at school, just because of the why of the Moulin Rouge. Like, it's there to put women on a pedestal, and it's so colorful, and it's so they're smiley, and 2,000 people go there a night and they come out smiling, and at the end of the bloody day, isn't that what dance and art and entertainment is about?
100%.
You're meant to feel something, but can we just feel good for a second without having to overanalyze stuff? And contemporary dance can sometimes be a little bit, well, if you don't understand it, then there's no point me trying to explain it to you.
Right.
Deep.
Right. Yeah, we're deep. You wouldn't look. I would explain, but it's wasted breath. It doesn't matter. Like, gosh, I love artists like that. So it's just, it's a funny concept. Listen, bro, if it's that deep, you haven't done well. Art is meant to be digestible.
Yeah.
Right. It is. That is the point. Everything doesn't have to be pop art by any stretch of the imagination, but it's meant to be digestible to a degree. Right. I mean, it was like Andy Warhol has a great saying about keeping art simple, and right now it's escaping me because I want to know what it is and I'm trying to recall it, so naturally I can't. But it's something about art being simplified that is like, the simplicity of it is what makes it art. So like, people that think that I made it so deep that others don't understand, it's like, you've lost the point of art. You're trying to show and express something in a manner that they're not accustomed to, so that they're willing to digest it, like with a smile and with a laugh. And sometimes it's deep and harsh and brutal and whatever, but it doesn't feel that way because it's art and it's fun and it's nice. So if you lose that, it's like, well, you kind of miss the point. I think, like, that's what I think anyway. I always think that when, especially like if I go to a film or something and someone's like, oh yeah, that was wow, I'm like, they overdid that.
Well, something can be complicated and like worked, but it has to be done to the level of that. As you say, it is simple to digest, and that takes time and skill to edit and refine and edit and edit and
because
edit.
you are like in your field, Donna, and obviously like you were in contemporary dance. In that dance, if it's one thing, if you're building out a show for other dancers at your level, you can make it so much more complex. You can add so much more depth because the audience understands, right? But if when I talk in finance, if I'm talking to other finance guys, like I have a guy on Thursday who's really deep into options, we will talk to one another on a completely different level than if I'm sitting here talking with someone who says, hey, Derek, like, is this a good stock? It's not a bad question. It's a good question. I love it that you've asked me. But listen, my conversation with Hans and that conversation are going to go really different, and it's on purpose. And right, so it's like I feel like it's the same concept.
Right. So you've got to understand who your audience is for the conversation, or who you're making the art for, or maybe you're just making it for yourself, and then who cares?
Listen, that's the best. That is the best way. But it's what's the old saying? It's like 2 for them, 1 for me, or 3 for them, 1 for me. I mean, obviously, you would love to. If it's all for you, if you're making everything for you, you're crushing life. If it's all for you, you're crushing life, because you're at a point where it's like, and also like if you're making it all for you and it's getting like legit attention, or people really like they're in sync with it, they get it. That's even, so you're on another level. You really truly are on another level.
Well, here's the thing. There's a way of making something and not caring necessarily what anybody thinks, but I don't know is that the same as digging really deep to find what it is about your craft that makes you, so that it becomes very specific, and in its specificity it actually reaches an enormous amount of people because it's personal. It's actually universal.
I think so. I think that makes a lot of sense. I definitely agree with that. So you're right, because if you're making something for the broad audience, if you're doing that, well, then you're kind of losing the you in it. You're losing, it's like the guy, the Oregon State running coach that created Nikes for his runner Prefontaine, right? That Nike shoe was created for one person, made on a waffle iron. Now, that one shoe made on a waffle iron. Oh, if you don't know this, it's a pretty cool story. Yeah. The runner's name is Prefontaine, and the coach in Oregon, they're the best running team in the country at the time. Super strict guy, Bill. I can't remember his last name. Bill somebody, but he was making running shoes on waffle irons, and he made a specific running shoe for this runner named Prefontaine, and that shoe is Nike. So when people think Nikes are like it's this big global brand and yada yada yada, how it started was for runners on a track, and in fact, one specific runner on a track, and then that reached the market for the reasons that you're saying. It was made so specific, and it was so what he believed in, that then it made it universal, right? It created a brand. So yeah, I agree with that. I definitely do. It's a funny thing when you start talking, because sometimes it's like, well, you want to make things for everybody, and then someone like you go, well, not really. Like, I'm not trying to appeal to the masses. That's not really what I mean, but if you think about it, even like in that example, because I understand it, not that I understand running shoes by any stretch of the imagination, but if you think about it, like him creating that running shoe, he was speaking directly to his audience. Now he had an audience of one, so it must have been very easy. It was one guy, but he was speaking directly to the audience, which is sort of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Making sure you're keeping it on the level of the audience, making sure that the audience gets what you're doing.
Well, I think, I mean, from what I have done in my research with sales and with trying to reach your audience, you really should be talking to one person so that they feel like when they read your stuff or see your thing, they're like, oh, this is for me. Right. This is for me.
And if you're a genius, you're like an Apple, who it seems like they're speaking to one person, but they're actually speaking to everyone in the world, and they're just telling you we're the cool kid and you need to have us. So like there's also genius in where you feel, oh, I'm being spoken to. It's like, well, sort of you and like everyone else in the world, but it worked. But in that case, like it really, really works. So that's actually like a great segue that I would love to hear from you. So I love what you're doing, and when we met, like you were so on fire about it. The one thing everybody about Danah you have to know is she is on fire about what she's doing. I knew it the day. So we were sitting down, we were talking on the couch in the gym, and she said she was asking me like something about money, or she was raising some money or something like that. And then I was like, oh, I'd love to see it.
First we met each other, we were kicking the crap out of each other.
You actually, so wait, yeah, back it up. So what really happened was Danah was working me over. We're in a Muay Thai class, and like, you know, she's small and petite, and she's moving at the speed of light. Just we're going back and forth. Now you can't see me, but I'm 215 and 5'9", and I was like, oh my gosh, holding these pads and we're going back and forth. And so she was wearing me out. That's the truth. So yes, right. That's how we met. I was exhausted, and then she started stretching or doing yoga or something. Was still talking, and I was like, but that is how we met. And we did beat each other up. And Greg was trying to get me to beat you up. He said, no, kick her. I go, I
can take it.
Crazy, you know. Right.
I can take it. I've had those Russian ballet teachers. You're never gonna beat me.
Right. No, you did. You were just fine. Like you were fine. Which is funny that you bring that up. I totally forgot. That was our first meeting. I forgot.
Yeah. And then we were talking on the couch. We somehow You Showgirl came up, and I was putting together the pitch deck, and I was talking to Tim, the owner of the gym, about it, and he was like, you should talk to Derek.
Right. And then you were like, I said, oh yeah, anytime, you know, which I of course met. And you were like, oh really? I have my laptop in the car. And I was like, oh, we'll go get it. And so like that is kind of like, that's your energy, which I loved right away. It's like, it's fun. That's how I am. Like you said, like, you know, You Showgirl came up. It's probably because I was doing this, which is like what I'm always doing. Like, hey, what are you doing? And you're like, you know, it's just a fun conversation. So to circle back, what I want to know, we were talking about art being digestible and fun. So the Moulin Rouge obviously had like huge impact on you and like where you were choosing to go in life. So explain to me like how the experience there, what the experience there was like, how that led you into like wanting, or why you wanted to show other women how they could do this too. Like, I know you're empowering women and their sexiness and their inner, like everything. And so how did going for Moulin Rouge, like how that inspire you to go down this road?
Well, okay. So my experience at the Moulin Rouge was just, it was fantastic from start to finish. It was just so much fun being on stage every night and being like welcomed and enveloped into this, like this is your new family, get on down. Like that, we had birthday parties and bachelorette parties and everything backstage, just sit like during the shows or in between the shows. And the reason why why I loved it so much. I think it just felt very expansive for me at the time, because going from a very strict classical and contemporary training to then using my body in an entirely different way. It had, suddenly from being in the ballet world to then being on stage with a lot of costume on, but still topless, was like, there's a different value placed on your body and on the shape of your body. And at 19, I actually hadn't had a woman's body for that long, really. So that was one thing that I really had to learn, and was actually drilled into me from watching the other girls on stage who I really wanted to emulate, and watched how they worked and how they practiced. And then also becoming very close with some of my gay co-workers who were men, and were just like, no, dragging me into the rehearsal studio and drilling me to loosen up and just walk with more ease. And this is how you use your hips in this way. Like, I had so much control, but I was also very stiff, I think, at the beginning. And then
Do you think you were stiff just because you were like uncomfortable? Just because it was new? I mean, I know you're saying you're classically trained, so I know the stiffness in that, because my aunt was in ballet in New York for years, until she was 26 and way too old, and then she opened a school in Seattle. So I know a little bit about that. But would you say that was like the apprehensiveness, like you were just uncomfortable, kind of with the freedom and the clothing, or
no, the clothing, like, actually never. Funnily enough, when I was still in school, the Oracle, Wendy, would she said to us, because we were teenagers and wanted to wear baggy stuff all the time, she was like, one day you're going to get on stage and you're going to have your boss give you the costume, and they're going to say, this is it, this is all you've got, and it's going to be a G-string. And we were all like, ew, no, that's never going to happen. And then I'm like, bam, first job, here's your costume.
Here it is.
and you're not like, you do not even think about that when you get on stage. You're thinking about, I need to get the choreography right, and I don't want to mess this up. And you feel like all the eyes are on you, but they're not. The eyes are on the greater, like the gestalt of the show, of the scene that's going on. And you just want to live up to the reputation and the grandeur of the place that you're performing and the people that you're performing with. So really the last thing that's on your mind is, oh, I'm exposed. It's like, no, I just want to get it right. And I think that's what where the stiffness came from, a little bit from the ballet, because there's so much strength that is necessary, and different kinds of athletic strength. But then on stage, when you're a showgirl in heels and you just have to look like you're in absolute control of the entire theater, there's definitely a sense of ease that has to come. You can't do that and be stiff, because otherwise your energy is just ending, like,
right
where your meat ends. To take control of an entire theater, you have to have a sense of ease where you're letting your energy flow through your body, through the space, through the waiters, into the walls. And that's what makes you watch someone just walk and go, oh. And all they're doing is walking.
Right. I get it. And so is that learning to do that and be that did something to you personally? It changed you personally? Or like that, what effect did that have on you? Like learning how to control a room, learning how to just kind of let go. I mean, that's a huge thing. Like when you learn how to actually let go and like, you're not concerned, that really is when you learn how to have like a commanding presence. So like, what was that like? Because you were young. I mean, this is still really young.
Yeah.
You're 19. So
yeah. And it happened, it started to happen at the Moulin, and it was from trying different different kinds of movement and also trying on different thought patterns in my head while I was dancing, because it's the same show every night, right? It's been the same show since 1999. So you get a chance to really practice repetition, but also try different things if you're really very curious about your instrument and how it works and what your experience of it is.
Right.
So I think, to answer your question, how did I do that and what was that like? I didn't want to be on stage pretending. I didn't want to be on stage pretending, but I wanted to be on stage really experiencing, and well, if I could do that the way that I wanted to, then what would that look like and what would that feel like? And how do I get it to feel as good as it can? And so that's kind of, I mean, then to loop it into You Showgirl, that's what I think is really the juice and what is really important and really fun to teach other people, regardless of if they're professional dancers or not. Look, if you're a professional dancer, great. It's going to just make you look more expensive from one day to the next because you can plug this stuff in so quickly. If you're a regular human and you want to study how to do this, then it's just going to improve and augment the enjoyment that you have in your body and of your body, because we've got one body. You want to have fun with it. You want to feel
right,
like
right. I get it.
We
That
have
makes
an
perfect
effect
sense to
on
me.
other people.
Right. So let's transition that into and so You Showgirl, the idea comes to you, you realize that that's what you want to do. This is who your audience is. It can be professional dancers, and for them, like you said, they're going to be able to plug it in and use it right away, and it just adds, right? It's a value add to what they already know.
Right.
And for someone else, it can be them really like getting to know themselves, their body. Right. So it's an amazing thing. But so here comes the part of the show that I talk about money, because a lot of people think, and they're under the belief that like the one thing in life that's always holding them back is money. A lot of people believe that that's the one thing holding them back. So what I want to ask you is, one, how did you overcome that thought? Like, hey, look, I have to have $1 million to start this. How are you able to overcome that thought and like take the steps? And then as far as finances go, what did you know when you were starting this? And then what have you grown to know? I sort of know, but I think it's fun for everyone else to hear this, what you knew about money and how you felt about it. And really, I talk about that a lot, Dawn. I was like, just how people feel about money oftentimes is a reflection of how much ease it brings their life, or how much more difficulty it can bring to their life, is really how they feel about it. So let's just go. Like, you're going to start You Showgirl. Let's start.
Okay, so I have this idea of You Showgirl that I couldn't shake, and it was to do a fitness platform that was also really theatrical and glamorous and was fun to look at and felt almost like a movie when you're looking at the classes, so that it is engaging, but also that the lessons were teaching you and instilling this way of working in your body, so that even after a 10 or 15 minute class, you walk away not feeling like you've been sucked into the screen, but like you're in charge of the entire apartment building's energy. So that's the dream. And it's funny because you mentioned going, well, I thought I needed $1 million to do this, but I actually went and then I dwindled the budget. I actually started so small.
I remember.
I was thinking about this just before we started talking. I was like, my budget actually tripled, and I don't think that was, and I'm not mad about it. I think it's actually growth, and it was me having to deal with a lot of mindset and limiting beliefs about money and my relationship with money. to go, you know what? No, this baby needs to take up more space. It's bigger than this. She needs more. I have to feed it. This is what I need to show this proof of concept, or to like get it out into the world, at least in this first iteration, the way that I believe in it. So it was really helpful, and honestly just a huge blessing to be able to like have you come across my path and talk it out and look at the whole budget and look at how I was going to pitch to investors, and then have you see the vision and the scale of it grow and be like, yeah, well, of course, yeah, you got it, like that's how it has to go.
Right.
So
I saw it.
yeah.
I saw it, and I remembered your initial budget, and I remember when I looked at it, I said, "Oh, you're gonna need you need more because of blah, 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 blah," and like, and you were going, "Really?" And you could tell are you, yeah? I'm going, "Oh, yeah, yeah," and I remember how because me coming from a space of money, numbers don't intimidate me. I don't even see it that way anymore. I just go, well, this is like what you'll need, and this is what you'll need, and this is what you'll need, and that's just. It's what you'll need. And I could tell by talking with you. And there's also a difference too, because of how you were and how you were presenting yourself. It wasn't like you were talking about something that it didn't suit you completely. They're like, when people meet you there and you go, hell yeah, it's you, showgirl, and this is what we do. They go, oh yeah. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you had that already. And so it was like, when we'll put you on screen, it's not like no one's going to question whether or not this is your passion, this is what you're good at, and are they going to be successful at this? As long as they, in my opinion too, and this is why I brought it up at the beginning of our conversation, was the system that you have outlined. I can't encourage people enough that when you come across someone like Danah, whatever you're seeking, when you come across someone like this, you want to follow their system. We all think we know best, but we rarely do. We rarely do. You don't step outside of what someone has created, because odds are they know that in and out beyond us. I know I come across the same thing in finance. Well, I just want to do this. Oh, just show me how to do this. I go, that's not going to work. And I don't want you coming away from it like saying, look, I was supposed to come out and be this, and I'm not, and so on and so forth. It's like, well, you also didn't do what I told you.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time, especially with private clients who are like, no, I just need to do this for this one thing. Like, I'm just going to do one lesson. It's like, well, when is the show you're preparing for? They're like, it's next week. I'm like, okay. 6 weeks ago would have been great. Right. Because the way that your mind works and the way that your body works, like, I'm happy to do a private with you, but it's going to serve you better to practice something and then sleep, and then practice something and then sleep, and then practice something and then sleep.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes muscle memory in your brain and in your body. And then you can get on stage and enjoy yourself rather than going, I was told to do this and I have to remember this. And why are my feet sweating so much? They know. What are my feet?
Right. Wait, do I have feet? What is?
Yeah.
I mean, really, right? So, Don, let me ask you. We've never even talked about it. So, I kind of know the way it went when you were raising a little money and you were putting your own like massive amounts of effort and money into this thing. Too, would you say that for you personally? Would you say that money was a barrier of entry for you, or was it just another piece of the puzzle that you sort of had to sort out?
I thought it was a barrier of entry for me, but at the same time, it is a piece. In retrospect, it's a piece of the puzzle, because the lessons you learn when you're fundraising for a startup are truly invaluable, and it helped develop the brand, because because I didn't have just this money sitting in my account or to use. I had to be very, very methodical about how I would hypothetically use each dollar, and it just gives everything a greater value.
And I can tell everyone out there, I saw how you had the budget broken down. I don't think I have ever seen anybody break down a budget so meticulously in my life. I mean, this budget, you had it down to everything. And I was like, well, Donna, this is great. I said, but a lot of this is going to change on you. And it was amazing. Like, you were very methodical. You really took your time and walked through it. And it shows now, though. I think that speaks to what you said about like fundraising is invaluable, like in life, once you've done it for a startup. Because you went above and beyond. I mean, it really was. I mean, but it was great. Anybody that looks at that knows this person's paying attention. They care. They have these ideas. Me just having been involved with several startups before, I knew, like, look, on day one, this whole thing shifts. It's right. How was that? So what was that like? I would like to actually, I know we're getting close on time now, but give me, what was that like, Donna? Like, when you're going, you have this map, and I saw your map. It was very crystal clear. What was it like once you really got moving?
Oh, I literally had a 5-year plan like mapped out to the
I know.
to the week. Another thing, what was that like? Well, that also is just learning to be peaceful with that everything will change. Things will probably take twice or 20 times as long as you think they will. And that's not always a bad thing. It probably is going to be because it's going to end up better. Thank God my very first version of this isn't what was in the world, and what is in the world now is. And thank God it's taken me this long, because it just grows. It like percolates and festers and spreads, and it's like I mean, I know you work with a lot of like actors and artists and everything as well, and you have them in your circle. And when you like making a project like this, or maybe it is with every business, I'm not sure, but it sort of feels like it has its own soul at a certain point, and it's telling you and letting things happen and not letting other things happen.
Right. Well, so if you're working with an artist, that's how they would absolutely describe it, because I can tell you, working with artists and working with a business person are two different things. And I don't mean to I don't want to knock anybody with what I'm about to say, but I believe the highest form of anything is art. I don't care what it is. If you're talking about a car, if you're talking about a painting, if you're talking about a bed or a chair or a rug, I don't care what it is. The highest form of that thing is art. The lowest form of that thing is business, IKEA or Hondas or whatever, the mass-produced crap. So I think, Donna, like, what I would say to you is, I think great things that have a soul, those things are made by artists that they're creating the soul, I suppose. And they're business people too, right? So there's a difference. They're business people too, but there is always a soul, right? And when you talk with a business guy, what he's looking to do is mass produce whatever some artist did on some scale that numbers work and he gets rich. And that sucks. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not interested in that. But so Donna, we have to continue this conversation. Yeah. I think this is a great initial conversation. I am going to throw this up again, your QR code, Donna. And so for everybody, look at that. Woo, woo. So for everybody that would love to become their own showgirl or get in shape? Or actually, Donna, you do this pitch. Donna,
Well,
you tell them
here's
what
the
they're
thing. No,
getting.
those are both two great things that you said, because this is something that it's fun and it is engaging, and it doesn't feel like fitness a lot of the time, which is, it doesn't feel like a grind. It feels like you're showing up to an event.
What an amazing way. But what an amazing way to get in shape, because you use the word, I was going to steal the grind. The one thing with working out that no one likes, I don't care who you are, it's the grind, right? That sucks. We all have to do a lot of things every day that maybe we're not that into. So when you work out and when you're getting in shape, if you can make it a show and make it fun, like, to me, amazing. Amazing. I love it.
This is like, I think, one of probably the only fitness platform that exists where I'm just not allowing workout clothes.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
Part of it.
I love it. All right. So, Donna, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, go get your 35% discount with Derek35. There's the QR code, ushowgirl.com. If anybody out there is listening and they can't click on that or don't know how, check it out. And Donna, I would love to have you on again. I think this is a great intro, though.
Yes, let's do it again.
Thank you, and we will see you next time.
Bye.